Unless we build it now. It's the future, y'all. It's the future. There ain't no future unless we build it now. United States, Africa, we salute ya. A new state of mind, I introduce ya. Close your eyes and visualize the rise of a new paradigm. Solar powered skyscrapers.
Welcome to the Africa Must Unite podcast, a podcast dedicated to inspiring African people worldwide to rise up, organize, and struggle for Pan-Africanism, a unified, liberated, socialist Africa, the only permanent solution to the exploitation and oppression of African people, no matter where they happen to be born or happen to live in the world. Now please, welcome the hosts of Africa Must Unite.
Africa's future is now, so get ready.
Greetings. I'm Sister Tasha.
And I'm Brother Terrence. And this is Africa Must Unite, podcast number 54. And we are
the Pan-African Revolutionary Socialist Party. All right, Brother Terrence. So, it is June already and school is out. What you think about that?
Hey, the summer has arrived here, so.
Yeah. Now, although the summer have arrived, we still are moving on with our struggle. So, some important calendar dates for June. Usually we read our calendar reflecting on the most important dates in history of our African people and other progressive people. So we're in the month of June. Important dates in June. We're going to start with June 2nd. On June 2nd, Geronimo Pratt died in 2011 after serving 25 years as a political prisoner from 1972 to 1997. On that same date, yes, on that same date, Paul Cuffey, the first African to send a group of diasporans to Africa, sailed to Sierra Leone on an exploratory mission in 1811. Going on to June 10th, our very own Marcus Garvey, Pan-African organizer of the UNIA, died in England in 1940. Also on that same day, Nigerian unions representing millions of workers launched a general strike over fuel prices, the hike that was in 2004. Going on to June 12th, the Convention People's Party, led by Kwame Nkrumah, was founded in 1949. Also, Medgar Evans, the African civil rights activist, was assassinated on that same day in 1963. On that next day, June 13th, the author of How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, Walter Rodney, a Pan-African scholar and revolutionary activist, was murdered by neocolonialists, running dogs, in 1890. Going on to the 14th, we got Che Guevara, revolutionary socialist, was born in Argentina in 1928. Moving on to June 16th, African students' uprisings began in Soweto and spread through South Africa in 1976. That was my born year. Also, we have on Saturday, June 18th, which is today, our very own, also known as Baba, Ahmed Fletcher Mbalia, African revolutionary and member of the Pan-African Revolutionary Socialist Party, was born in 1941. On this day also.
Yes.
What you say, Brother Terrence?
I said yes. I was just highlighting that point.
Yes, and I have my candle lit today for our Baba. It's going to be lighting all day. Also on that same day, the CIA trained and teleguided forces overthrew progressive government of Guatemala in 1954. Moving on to tomorrow, Sunday, June 19th, we have the Juneteenth Day that people are celebrating nowadays, but the African slaves in Texas first heard that slavery was abolished in 1865.
And let me just state there, we did not need a national holiday observance to be celebrating Juneteenth. Here in Milwaukee, we've been doing it since '71, so over 50 years strong in celebrating Juneteenth Day.
Yes, and some people, it isn't amazing how what I say, 1865, and people are just now going on and making a big deal out of Juneteenth Day.
It's the capitalists.
All right, going on to June 23rd. The Black Star Line was organized by the UNIA under the leadership of Amy Ashwood and Marcus Garvey in 1919. Talk about encouraging black folks and giving them that self-determination and economic independence. That's what that was all about. Moving on to the 25th, Mozambique wrestled and gained their political independence from the brutal Portuguese colonialism in 1975. And then on the 26th, we have South African Freedom Day, declared in 1955. It was a memorial to the determination of the South African people to carry on the struggle against racism, exploitation, and oppression. Still going on today. And then on the 29th, Kwame Ture, also known as Stokely Carmichael, was born in Trinidad in 1941. On that same date, the National Black United Front was founded in 1980. June is full of exciting dates.
Absolutely. And we might as well say happy birthday to you on June 30th when it comes.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. All right. So our theme this year, for those who've been following along, for those of you who are new, has been Africa is on fire. We are just highlighting different parts of global Africa that is on fire and how we are attempting to extinguish it and bring forth this Pan-African world in reality. So the area that we want to highlight and talk about and have a discussion about today is Mozambique. So let me just start off with a quote from Kwame Nkrumah here. He says, quote, "To suggest that the time is not yet ripe for considering a political union of Africa is to evade the facts and ignore realities in Africa today." End quote. Kwame Nkrumah said this in his book, I Speak of Freedom, on page 13. Led by the Front for the Liberation of Mozambique, better known as Frelimo, the people of Mozambique liberated its state from the vicious tentacles of Portugal in 1975. But today, despite the masses' struggle to free themselves, conditions for Mozambicans are horrific. The presence of capitalist corporations, the narco trafficking, the gem and timber smugglers, wildlife traffickers, and human traffickers selling human body parts, the Islamic insurgents, and the corruption of the elite and government officials. The French energy giant Total Energies is engaged in a $20 billion project to extract liquefied natural gas. A large timber trade exists whose shipments go to China. Rubies sell for hundreds of millions of dollars, but all that at the cost of the displacement and misery of local people. The government has forcibly removed whole communities from state-owned land after granting ruby and mining and gas exploration concessions to private companies. The Narcala port is identified as a key port for much of the illicit cargo that comes in and out of Mozambique with knowledge of, if not the complicity of, the government. One estimate reports $600 to $800 million of heroin transit through Mozambique annually, with $100 million used for bribery. Such exploitation and oppression of the people create the conditions for Islamic insurgents to thrive. In fact, the existence of the Al-Shabaab facilitates the imperialist theft of Mozambique's natural resources. With all of the devastation that the people are experiencing, in comes the U.S. Special Ops Forces, touting the myth that its only interest is in supporting Mozambique's efforts to prevent the spread of terrorism and violent extremism. We say down with imperialism. And that is our short bio on Mozambique. All right, so after taking a look at the current conditions in Mozambique to show how Mozambique is on fire, we want to kind of look at how did it get to this point. So there are some key historical events in Mozambique's history that we want to examine real close. Sister Tasha, can you look at or tell us the first few events?
All right, so just looking at the historical timeline, starting in the 3rd century, we had Iron Age Bantu-speaking tribes move into the area from West Central Africa. And in the 11th century, the Shona Empire develops between Limpopo and Zambezi rivers. And you have to excuse us because of the pronunciation of some of the words, might be a little construed. Also in 1498, the Portuguese expedition led by the explorer Vasco da Gama drops anchor off the Mozambican coast. And then in the 16th to 17th centuries, Portuguese venture into interior. Following the military campaigns, colonists set up trading posts and mining enterprises and parcel lands out to the Europeans. And then in the 18th and 19th centuries, Mozambique becomes a major slaving trading center.
All right. So in 1842, Portugal outlaws the slave trade from Mozambique, but clandestine trade continues for decades. 1878, Portugal leases large tracts of territory to trading companies who use conscript African labor to further their interests and build infrastructure. 1932, Portugal breaks up trading companies and imposes direct rule over the colony. Fast forward to 1950s and 60s, colonial economy thrives, attracting thousands of Portuguese settlers. In 1962, exile activists formed Mozambique Liberation Front, aka Frelimo, headed by Eduardo Monley. In 1964, Frelimo forces begin the War of Independence. Guerrilla tactics frustrate Portuguese, and Frelimo take control of much of the north. In 1974, a military coup in Portugal, new government agrees independence with Frelimo. More than 250,000 Portuguese inhabitants leave. So independence has occurred. So 1975, Mozambique becomes independent under Frelimo's one-party rule of President Samora Machel. 1976, Renamo, an anti-Frelimo group aided by Rhodesia and later South Africa, emerges. 1977, Frelimo adopts Marxist-Leninism. Unfortunately, in 1986, President Michel is killed in an air crash. Joaquim Chissano becomes president. In 1989, Frelimo renounces Marxist-Leninism as the Soviet powers collapse. This moves us into multi-party politics in Mozambique. In 1990, government amends the constitution to allow a multi-party political system. In 1992, President Chissano and Renamo leader Afonso da Clama sign a peace deal in Rome. 1995, Mozambique joins the Commonwealth. 2005, in February, Frelimo's Armando Guebuza inaugurated as president after defeating Afonso da Clama in November's presidential polls. In 2006, in July, the World Bank canceled most of Mozambique's debt under a plan promoted by the G8 nations. In 2011 of October, Italian energy company Eni says it made a giant gas discovery off the coast of Cabo Delgado province in the north. In 2014 of January, hundreds flee renewed fighting between government forces and Renamo rebels in the South District of Moines. 2014 of October, the ruling Frelimo Party and its candidate Felipe Nyusi, wins presidential and legislative elections after Renamo signs a truce. In 2017, between January and August, President Nyusi and Renamo leader Dhlakama finally ends the conflict.
And then you come into current 2017, the Northern Insurgency. In November, jihadist insurgency begins in Cabo Delgado province in the north. In 2019, in March, Cyclone Idai causes extensive flooding and loss of life in Sofala province. And then in 2020, in January, President Nyusi inaugurated after winning the re-election for the final 5-year term. So as you see, there's a history of Mozambique being on fire, as it currently still is.
Yes, that struggle is a serious one. So, Mozambique, just when you look at those current events, you see where the one-party system, when they became liberated, was the first choice. And then once they went to a multi-party system, and you see that across the board, whether it's here in the U.S. or anywhere, multi-party systems allow for corruption, allow for division to occur, and multiple, you don't get that one set goal. So I completely understand and agree with a one-party system. But Sister Tashi here, looking at further events here in 2022, what do you want to say here?
So just thinking about all throughout 2022 and the times with the help of our invited guests, our focus will be on our 22 calendar theme of our year, which is the African world is on fire. We're going to continue highlighting the pure reality of many places, as we did today with Mozambique and throughout the African world, from Libya to Ethiopia, from Congo to Azania, South Africa, from Haiti to Brazil, and the United States. Yes, we said the United States.
Without a doubt. So join us next month. Oh, sorry, that was your part, but I'll say it. Join us next month when we discuss the current reality of Nigeria. Meanwhile, visit our website, the Pan-African Revolutionary Socialist Party.org. Yes, that's one word there. Pan-African Revolutionary Socialist Party.org. Email us at panafricanrsp@gmail.com, panafricanrsp@gmail.com. You can like us on soundcloud.com, visit us on YouTube, and even leave comments on our Facebook page, which is Pan-African Socialists.
And Brother Terrence, like you said, we were talking about making sure that we are one. It is important to talk about organization, because organization is the key. Join us, the Pan-African Revolutionary Socialist Party, or some other revolutionary Pan-African Socialist organization. A union of African socialist states is on the horizon.
All right.
Mapudukezi musha pera kutiza Mozambique. Dombo Mozambique. Mapudukezi musha pera kutiza Mozambique. Ondo Mozambique. Motoku kabu. Sipinula budambua yako na buda Mozambique. Ondo Mozambique. Motoku tete. Ariaga budambua yako na buda Mozambique.
Baba monani
zuwara nasi
wakati sia wakafira nyika yedu ya Mozambique viva Frelimu
ndofunga
Baba monani
zuwara nasi
wakati sia wakafira nyika yedu ya Mozambique viva Frelimu.
ndofunga
Baba monani
zuwara nasi
wakati sia wakafira nyika yedu ya Mozambique viva Frelimu
ndofunga
Baba monani
zuwara nasi
wakati sia wakafira nyika yedu ya Mozambique viva Frelimu.